Okay, welcome to the Joint Park and Rec Board meeting today, Tuesday, October 1st. Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers.
Here.
Mr. Emmerich.
Here.
Mrs. Westfall.
Here.
Mr. Hobart.
Here.
Mr. Dunn.
Here.
Mr. Jackson. Mrs. Reed.
Here.
And Mr. Herman.
Okay, we have our July 17th Joint Rec and Park Board meeting minutes. Have you guys already adopted these?
We have.
Park and Rec Board?
Yes.
Okay. Susan, you're the only one there. Do you want to go ahead and make a motion to accept these minutes? There wasn't any park board action, really.
No.
Okay, I'll tell you
Motion
what.
to accept.
Yeah. You want to second the motion?
Yeah, I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have our August 28th meeting minutes. Those were disseminated prior to this meeting. Are there additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes?
No.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Reports. Mr. Drake, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you have anything to add to your report that you've submitted in writing to us?
I would just point out that you can see the work orders listed, date from August 29th to last Friday. So I thought right after our August meeting that'd be appropriate to give you a snapshot. Thankfully, even with the dry weather, we've been extremely busy. The dry weather's allowed us to tackle some projects that we needed to get done and accomplished. But even with the dry weather, we still had a significant amount of mowing that's needed done. And as you know, most of our athletic fields are irrigated and fertilized, so that continues as normal, regardless of lack of rain. So just been really, really busy trying to transition into some of the fall cleanup, started removing some of the baskets downtown and so forth, unfortunately, but it's starting to get to be that time. So
The flowers on the bridge looked really nice this year. I will note that the ones on Adams Street seem to dry out quicker
They did.
than any of the other baskets.
they did, and a lot of that goes back to species, and we've talked with the grower, and most likely we'll go to a super tunia rather than just a regular petunia. And they had tried some other species mixed in this year that kind of an experiment that didn't work out as well as we had hoped. So
And a question for dummies, the number in the very first column, what is that?
that's just the address of each of those. So like that'd be the address of the parks,
Gotcha.
or for like where street trees were removed, that would be the address of the property or the home
Gotcha.
where those were
Okay.
removed.
All right, thank you. Any questions of Mr. Drake?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Seiler, do you have anything to add to your report, sir?
Just a couple things. One, our fall and winter ice season is in full swing. Item number 2 there, we hit on our hockey participants for the season. We have our first game starting this weekend. We're up considerably with our number of participants this year. We have 142 kids playing in our youth hockey program, up by 33 from last season. Our public skating sessions will begin the first weekend of November. And we have several events coming up here over the course of the next few weeks. And for the aquatic park, we finished off the season with a really good last about 7 or 8 weeks. We had a rough start in June, and then the weather turned for us. And as a result, we should end up operating in the black again this summer. So that's always our goal.
That's always good news. Any questions of Mr. Seiler? Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Brewer, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Do you have anything to add to your report?
Nothing to add. I just wanted to kind of point out, with us having new operating systems this year, the reporting structure is just a little bit different. So I did just include on that very first page, just kind of what our overall facility revenue was, both in August and in September, just to kind of, because we have the shoreline now being on their own operating system, I kind of have to combine reports. So I tried to at least kind of indicate what those numbers were. So. And those numbers are good. August, obviously the early returns with the new building and everything, that August number is about an 18 to 20% facility increase compared to historical Augusts of the last 4 to 5 years. So, yeah, just kind of wanted to point that out. But no, it's been a really good summer for us. Obviously now we sort of kind of transition into our fall season or our off season. Chance for our maintenance staff to kind of catch up on things. We actually have been still maintained to be pretty busy right now. Still quite a few outings left for the first 2 weeks of October. We still have a little bit of work left as part of the project, and I sort of included that there in that first page. Still a little bit of landscape work. The main island is sort of going to be our focus over the next couple months, and then here in about 2 weeks we will have the parking lot completely repaved. So I know it'll be the week of October 14th. I'm just waiting to get, it'll take 2 days. So there will be a 2-day period there where we will be closed. Not something we want to do necessarily, but not really a way that we can get around that with what they have to do. So it's going to be a kind of a big, cloudy, dusty mess for a couple of days. So really more of a safety issue than anything else.
2 questions.
Yes, sir.
Number one, the driving range seems to be well received.
Yes, it has. It really has. It's been a wonderful addition for us, both from a teaching perspective. Certainly has helped that side of things to kind of have that space to teach new players, but really just for both golf members and non-members, it's been nothing but a positive.
And my second question is how is the marketing coming for using the shoreline as a venue for banquets, parties, things like that?
Sure. Yeah, that's something we, have sort of tried to ease ourselves into. We're actually next week on Tuesday, we sort of have our first big corporate event with an outside company. So far we've done a few events already, and really kind of looking toward 2020 now and how we can expand upon that. But so far it's been good. So our real goal was to try to not to take in more than we can handle right now. With the way things were this year and us being sort of delayed and not getting open until June, it was enough just to get the place staffed properly and to make sure that we gave a good first impression in that regard. So, we're trying to take the long route in terms of getting more of those outside outings and making sure that the ones that we do are very well received.
Well, I know it's going to be difficult for you to kind of project accurately in the future, your staffing needs and things like that.
Sure, that's kind of been the hardest part.
Budget season coming up,
Yeah.
you've got to be careful of that.
Sure, it's very difficult to put together a budget right now and to try to predict exactly what we're going to need. So it's probably not going to be until the end of next year that I really have a more firm grasp on what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Brewer? I don't have any planning commission report. There's nothing happening in the planning commission right now that affects the park board, so no report there. Mr. Hobart, do you have anything that you want to add from recreation department or? recreation board?
Not really, just like to emphasize what, Ken said, the public skating is coming up 1st of November. We have a lot of events coming up that we're very excited about. What I'm hearing from our staff and also from the golf staff, the shoreline is coming along very well. We're very pleased with that, and hopefully that will continue to expand.
Okay, thank you. Question, the golf tee graphics out there, have they been installed, or what's the process on that, or is that all gone by the wayside right now?
That's sort of in a holding pattern. There's been some contract language dispute there that's yet to be resolved.
Where's that at?
Where that's at is there's sort of a meeting that needs to take place between, I believe, between us and them, probably involving Mr. Kerber, to try to figure out. Right now, it's just sort of at a standstill with a certain part of the contract language. I'm probably not well equipped to say exactly what that is. But
So you'll go ahead and try to get that done maybe this winter?
yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I just want to announce that we received a check for $1,336.89. That was from the William H. Mayer Trust. So we'll note in the minutes that it was accepted. Thank you very much. Okay, Kylo, you're next on the agenda for new business, discussion of instituting winter golf rates at Miami Shores Golf Course.
Yeah, very last page is just the suggested off-season rates for the remainder of this year. And I included, I don't think this has been done in the past, but if they could be approved through the first month of March, rather than calling them winter rates, rather to call them our off-season rates, which is basically the time in which we have no league play, which would be October, November, December, and then when we open back up again in March for the month of March. So,
Did you do a marketing study to see what the other courses are doing?
yeah, this is very much in line with that. So really not a whole lot of changes for us from last year to this year. I think, yeah, it was very, very similar, so.
You didn't give us a list of what the current rates are. We don't have those committed in memory. How much difference are these rates from what's going on currently?
Sure. So there's if you look at their, I mean, that's about our weekday special is normally 26, so it's a $3 difference between that. The weekend really is the one that drops down the most, and that's really just to sort of encourage more play as we enter into again, where the weather's not going to be quite as good. Weekday pricing, again, same as last year. That's about a little bit over $3 decrease in 9 holes and a $4 decrease in 18-hole pricing. And weekend pricing is about a $3 decrease both ways. So, like I said, weekend would be we don't usually do a weekend special during the high season. But obviously, again, with us entering a non-busy time, that's really just to encourage as much play as possible.
And the cart fees are also different?
Our cart fees don't change. That's the one thing that stays constant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kylie, you're asking our approval for these rates. Any discussion concerning this?
No, good.
I'll entertain a motion to either approve or deny.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They're adopted.
Thank you.
Kyler. Okay. Before we get started on the last matter on the agenda, is there anything else to come before the commission? You guys have anything you want to bring up? Gentlemen, do you have anything? Okay, last matter, because it might mean that we have to change our seats. A review of park assessment and survey analysis. Who wants to take the lead on it? Salome? Salome, why don't you go ahead and start by introducing yourself and your background and things like that, okay? Yeah, I want you to go ahead and make the presentation, but let us know who you are,
Okay.
because I just met you for the first time today.
Okay. My name is Salome Hekate. I'm an intern at Service Director's Office, and I've been working on a draft document Park Board received for review for past few months. The draft is called Assessment of and Progress and Conditions of Troy Parks from 1990 to Present and Analysis of 2018 Parks Master Plan Public Involvement Survey Results.
Okay? If anybody can't see the screen, we ought to be moving down here to the other end. You guys forget where it is.
That way we can see better.
Sure.
Another chair? Slide. Oh.
Whenever you're ready. Why don't you start out with the assumptions you made in your presentation, or is that part of your presentation, the assumptions? What you started with as the base?
Well, I'm presenting an overview of the draft you received.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't really have any assumptions.
Okay.
I'm just explaining the process and what I have included in the draft. And at the end of the presentation, I do have a questions I would like to ask to move forward with the document and to receive your feedback.
Okay, go right ahead.
Okay. Would you like me to start?
Yes, please.
Do you want me to introduce myself again?
I didn't hear you, man.
Do you want me to introduce myself again, or
No,
should I just move forward? Okay.
I know who you are.
All right, so the presentation will cover purpose of the draft document and development process, inventory of current Troy City parks and recreation facilities, outdoor recreation trends, 1990 proposed recommendations in a master plan, and the present progress assessment. Also, the presentation will go over the conditions assessment and inventory. And at the end, I'll give you a summary of the public involvement survey results. So the purpose of the document we are discussing today is to encourage discussion about creating a new master plan for the City of Troy Park system and facilitate its future development process. We will walk through the main components of the draft today, which are progress assessment, parks conditions assessment and inventory, and survey analysis. Process of data collection started in 2018. In the summer of 2019, I started compiling the data, and the draft was submitted to Park Board for review. And I will go into the details what data was collected past year and a half. On this slide, you see inventory of Troy City parks and recreation facilities. Next slide shows City of Troy parks on the map, and you can see how they are dispersed widely throughout the city. And next map shows recreation facilities. Also, I want to add that those maps are not final. They will be updated for final document. Before discussing main three components of the draft, I want to briefly mention national and state outdoor recreation trends. According to 2015 National Recreation and Park Association study, 4 reasons why Americans visit parks are for personal, environmental, social, economic, 5 economic and activity-oriented benefits. 2019 NRPA Park Pool Survey indicated that top 3 outdoor recreation activities among Americans are picnicking, swimming, and walking. As for state and more for national trends, based on 2017 Outdoor Foundation report, the East North Central region, including Ohio, have the 3rd highest outdoor participation rate. And popular activities among surveyed were running, jogging, hiking, and mountain biking. For state recreation trends, 2018 Ohio statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan identified 4 reasons why Ohioans visit Troy, why they visit parks. And those reasons are for fun and entertainment, to spend time with family and friends, to experience nature and spend time outdoors, and for health and wellness. Activities and amenities that have become more popular since 2013 include dog parks, splash pads, mountain biking, and backcountry camping. City of Troy also has implemented or is considering to implement the same activities listed that have become more popular since 2013. In 1990, City of Troy hired Etzel and Associates of Columbus landscape architects and planning consultants to update 1980s Master Plan for Parks and Recreation. Based on community's feedback, the plan set forth 6 goals, and most importantly, they proposed recommendations for each Troy City parks. And now I'll talk about progress assessment, which is one of the main components of the draft. On the slide, you see one example of one of the parks listed in the draft, and it shows recommendations that were proposed in 1990 versus what has been implemented since then. And the recommendation, progress assessment, proposed recommendations, and was conducted with the help of Park Superintendent Jeremy Drake. Another main component of the draft is Parks Condition Assessment and Inventory Count. It was conducted in spring of 2018 by Austin Eidemeyer. He was an intern, GIS intern here in City Hall. He used ArcGIS software to collect data, and this is also an example of one of the parks listed in the draft. So the conditions assessment includes inventory count, parkland size, walkable population, service area distance, location, park classification, overall condition assessment, and assessment results. To determine service area and classifications, he used NRPA's standards, and walkable population was calculated within the service area. For overall conditions ratings, park features were assessed on 5-scale rating system, 1 being excellent, 5 needs to be replaced. In summary,
I'm sorry,
Yes.
the overall ratings it's talking about, for instance, Community Park, you've got a 2.5.
yes,
That's a very subjective thing, is that correct?
he used the software where he rated each facility's features and equipment, and based on the weights he assigned to the features, he calculated overall conditions. So 2.5 will be between good and fair.
But this was his opinion concerning those things, is that right?
He went and did the assessment, yes. If you want to have more details about how the assessment was done, I can reach out to Austin Eidemeyer and he could give us the details. Okay. And third main component of the draft is the survey, which was released in 2008 to Troy community to get their feedback, how they view Troy's city parks. The survey was created by Charles Koenig. He was also an intern at Service Director's Office. The survey had 16 questions, and 648 responded to the questionnaire. To summarize, what the results were, 97.4% of the respondents visit Troy parks at least once a month. Half of the responses indicated that the main transportation means they use are cars, compared to the 33% who also walk to the Troy City parks. To the question, how safe do respondents feel at parks? 98.5% feel moderately safe to very safe. Top 3 reasons cited why they visit Troy parks are playgrounds, relaxation, walking, and jogging. They were also asked to evaluate amenities and activities in Troy City parks, and 88.3% rated overall conditions of Troy parks from as good to excellent. Out of 30 listed parks and recreation facilities, 3 most visited are Duke Park, Community Park, and Hobart Arena. 3 least visited are Skate Park, Kings Chapel, McKay, and Race Parks. The respondents were also asked what do they see as the priorities when it comes to Troy City parks, and highest 3 priorities they cited were to repair and maintain current facilities, to improve access to public restrooms at parks, and increase the amount of nature trails. Lowest 3 priorities were given to acquisition of additional parkland, adding more bike racks, outdoor fitness equipment, and enhancing bike connectivity. They also listed additional priorities, which were more baseball fields and maintenance of existing ones, splash pad, new or updated playgrounds. Respondents were also asked to write down what in their opinion, what are the additional amenities and activities they want to have in Troy parks. Those were splash pad, better shaded trails and playgrounds, and updated playgrounds. When they were asked to answer what prevents them from using Troy parks, top 3 answers were, I enjoy using Troy parks and have no issues. Troy parks do not meet my needs for my preferred recreational activities, and Troy parks are not within a biking distance or are unfavorable to walk to. The survey also obtained general demographic information, which included gender, age, location of residency, and work. As you can see, 65.4% were females, 61.4% have children, 75.8% live in the city of Troy. To move forward with the document and identify what potential next steps might be, my questions are if you have any suggestions or edits to the document, or how would you like to use the draft, a finalized version of the document, if you want to use it for budgeting process, for capital planning, or if you'd like to engage in a visioning process to update 9090 master plan and create a new plan for Troy City Parks. And at the end, if you have any questions or comments, please ask.
You guys, you have any questions or comments?
So the last time we did something like this was 1990? So
Yes.
this is the
Yes.
first attempt to do
Master plan for Parks for City of Troy has not been updated since 1990.
And the one before that was what?
1980, yes. And also 1990 master plan, when they were conducting community surveys, they indicated that Troy community wanted to move forward and have a new plan because the concern was that they have not seen any accomplishment throughout 10 years. So that's why they wanted to update the plan in 10 years.
And you satisfied that by indicating that the recommended changes in the parks in the 1990 plan had been implemented for the most part.
Out of 104 listed, 60 was implemented. 60 was implemented, yes.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, so is the plan then to maybe do this every 10 years then, as opposed to every 29 years? Or
Well, the 1990 master plan, when they wrote down recommendations for each park, they also had general recommendations and the parklands the City of Troy might acquire throughout the years. And then they had a long-term plan and short-term plan, which was like 10 or 20 years. But mostly for 20 years, they were proposing to which land the city could acquire. But for making the changes, yes, I would not say that the recommendation would be to wait for 20 years.
Yeah.
There are some things that might be necessary to address some things immediately, and others could wait for a few years, but that should be determined too and prioritized.
As you guys well know, both the rec board and the park board put out flyers. You know, we're not doing a whole lot of visioning or future planning. We did the fortunately or unfortunately, I've been on the park board during the last 2 plans. And in 1980, we took that plan and we thought, hey, this is good. And there was a whole charrette session and all that sort of stuff. It was a lot, really time consuming to put it all together. And it was up on a shelf for another 10 years. In 1990, somebody had a great idea, let's spend a bunch of money and go ahead and get a new master plan. So we did it again, and they came in over from Columbus, and we had the charrette and all this sort of stuff, spent a lot of time, and it's been on the shelf ever since. Until you started taking a look at it, and I think what you accomplished here was very good, because you were able to identify a lot of what the 1990 plan said that we needed to have done, and whether or not we did it. The areas that we didn't get done, perhaps we ought to look at and see, Jeremy, whether or not we can get those done, or whether it's necessary anymore. but as far as spending funds for another master plan that we put up on the shelf and don't use, the last time this was discussed, my opinion was that we not engage a landscape architect for another master plan unless it gets us something. And one of the gets us something that it could get would be some sort of grant or something that might be beneficial to. Do you know of any grants out there that a master plan, an updated master plan would get money for playground equipment or something like that?
When I was looking at grants, right now there are grants for inclusive playgrounds mostly, because many communities now want to have more inclusive play equipment in parks. But I have not seen just grants for updating playgrounds.
Those grants for inclusive playground equipment,
Yes.
do they require a master plan or do they require just a grant application?
I have not checked the details, but I don't. Well, in the overview, I did not see that they require master plan.
So this survey, or the master plan we put together here, where's it gonna be housed or published or live, as opposed to just sitting on a shelf somewhere? Is it gonna be on the park's website, or?
Keep in mind, this is not a master plan.
Okay, this is
This is
just
just an analysis of what our
Yes,
current
correct.
master plan is and our current facilities.
Gotcha.
So this is, she did a
Yes.
great job. I must admit, I did not read the entire 136 pages,
Mm-hmm.
but I took a look at the recommendations. But this is an analysis of what we have already.
Mm-hmm.
So my intention was to look at what 1990 master plan proposed and what the city has implemented. When I was reading previous master plan, 1990's master plan, and when I read that community in 1990 they saw that the city might have not accomplished a lot that was proposed, I thought that maybe now we should show the community that the city is working on to improve park system. So, and then I had conditions assessment, Austin Idle did, and we also had survey results. So we just put all this information together, and then the intention is to help to facilitate development process for future master plan, if you will see that it's necessary.
Well, let me ask you your opinion. Do you think it's necessary that a revised master plan of parks and recreation is necessary?
I think since the previous master plan, 20, 30 years has passed, I think that right now the companies and firms who are writing master plans, probably they are doing those in a different ways. So it won't be harmful to look into what they will be proposing. Maybe they won't be oriented on the landscaping as much as the previous master plan was. Maybe they will be more activity oriented and more what are in trends today for outdoor recreation. Maybe they will be more looking into that. So I think it will be beneficial to hear opinions from the companies who write master plans, what their vision will be for Troy City Parks.
Do you have any idea how much a master plan would cost?
We are looking into the prices, and we are waiting to get the quotes and how much master plans might cost.
Because if it comes down to putting $100,000 into a master plan versus new playground equipment in one of our playgrounds, I know which way I'm going.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody?
I like the survey results. I mean, is there any thought of doing that, like on a consistent, maybe annual or biannual basis? Because that can let us know where there's slippage, right? Where someone says, hey, this is something that we're not meeting the standards of the community. So, there's some good things to take away here, but that might be something that we
I think
keep
it's a
on
good idea.
an annual or biannual basis too.
I was
Sure.
pleasantly surprised
Yeah.
in the number of people
Yeah.
who responded to the survey.
And the reason why I also included outdoor recreation trends was that to show that communities' attitude and what they like and what they find they want to do when they go outdoors, it is changing too. So if we will do more surveys, we will be up to date and we will know what the community wants when it comes to outdoor recreation. So yes, it will be beneficial to have more frequent surveys.
Well, it might be more well-rounded if we did it more often, because was 65% female. So, you know, I don't know why that was skewed that way, but it was, and I don't know.
Well, in my family, the female's the boss. Any other questions? Salome, thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you have any further questions or suggestions, I included my email address and Aubrey Hill's email address on the slides, and you can email us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for the agenda. Mr. Tennant, did you have anything you want to add?
Just, sure. So you will notice that my name was not on that last slide.
We appreciate that.
Just wanted to note that for the record. Just some follow-up to your questions and your comments. First of all, I think 30 years was probably way too long to wait in between master plans, or at least this kind of process. I don't necessarily agree that the 1990 plan was shelved. Just look at all the updates, the recommendations that were in fact implemented over the years. Took some time, but over that time, I think there've been a lot of accomplishments and a lot of improvements to the parks and the recreation facilities. So I think all of you should be proud of what's happened over, even those that were there in 1980 with the first plan. Moving forward, don't want to underemphasize the second to last slide, or the third to last slide, the next steps. At a minimum, I think that we really should be looking at that document in its final form. We do want your feedback. We want to edit it, and we want to have something final as an assessment so that we can at least use it in our 5-year and longer capital improvement planning. You're absolutely correct. The equipment, the kind of amenities that we'd like to invest in are getting more and more expensive. Not only the inclusiveness, but the emphasis on safety measures have made playground equipment extremely expensive. May have been expensive, now I'd add extremely to the front of that. But it is an area that we've recognized for the last several years in our budget meetings that it's time that we start upgrading that equipment. We know there are parks that folks in neighborhoods in particular would like to see some playground equipment where there is none, and we have our major parks that we want to make more investment in updating playground equipment that has been there for a long, long time. So at a minimum, using this as a capital planning document is I believe important, and I think the council will see that as being important as well. Whether you turn this into a full-fledged master plan, I think what Salome did was a lot of the front work that a firm, as she mentioned, could use just to give us a new set of eyes, and we could explore, what the cost might be. Doesn't mean we have to pull the trigger, but there's no harm in asking. I don't believe it would approach even half of $100,000, a fraction of that, hopefully. But I think the other thing that the summary showed you and the document shows you is that with the Duke Park master plan, the amenities that we're planning, the advance work that we did when we purchased the Hills Camp property appears to be what the 600 plus 55% female respondents said. And we believe that the weighting of the male to female might have as much to do with those that actually visit the parks, because the women with the young family or the young kids, they may go to the parks a little more often than the spouses or significant others. So I think what we are asking in the fall continues on the right track, in that we looked at the survey, especially the splash pad aspect of it, and whether we do a master plan update or not, we're we're continuing to plan and to improve the park system the way the survey respondents are asking us to. I would not recommend that we do a survey every year or two, but maybe every 3 to 5 years, because it does take time for the investments to be made and for them to be recognized in the public. And if you do it every year, every other year, you're going to get the reaction from that one time or that couple of times that they went where it's the day before Jeremy's staff has cut the lawn or cut the grass, even though they're doing it twice a week and they keep it to 1.5 inches or 2 inches and everything's perfect. You know, if somebody caught it that one time, that might skew the results. So doing it too often probably is not going to give us good feedback.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would always be interested in seeing how much it would cost for a master plan. I'm still not convinced we need one, but, you know.
And I'm not arguing we do either,
Yeah.
but we do have a couple of firms that we are in the process of reaching out to just to get a feel for what it would be.
The 1990 master plan had a number of recommendations in it as what we do with the parks, and as Salome's work said, a lot of that has been implemented. As far as putting this on the shelf, I don't know that we took it off the shelf to take a look at it, to implement those changes. That just came as a natural course of taking a visit to the parks and saying, okay, let's put in more flowers, let's do this, or let's do that. I'm not sure we ever took a look at the master plan to follow those recommendations, but I appreciate your comments. Thank you. Anybody else have anything? We've got 2 more items on that we need to consider, and that is property that would be excess property subject to sale. We had talked at our last meeting about Waco Park, it's a postage stamp park, and also that area out in Archer Park that we currently have somebody squatting on. My recommendation is that we put those both as, and we start the process of making sure that that is excess property subject to sale and seeing what we can get. The Archer Park property, I would place a minimum bid of $2,500 plus any and all expenses, because that's what we did with Mr. Carnum just around a couple of doors down. What do you guys think about that?
That's reasonable.
Okay. I'll make a motion to that effect. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Abby, did you get all that?
Yep.
And you want to talk us through about the process of implementing that then? Okay, Jeremy, is that okay with you?
That's okay with me. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Tudor?
I'm sorry. You're mentioning Archer Park. Is this property in addition to what we had sold?
Yes.
Yes, once come forward, I'll show you the property.
Okay, well, or afterwards, that's fine. All right. I just don't make sure that we're not duplicating anything, that's all.
No, it's not duplicated.
Great,
Okay,
thanks.
Thank you. Anything else to come before the commission? Mr. Hobart, do you have anything?
No, lost, I think the board members have anything. I think it was a very good presentation, very good meeting. Appreciate it.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Okay, I make a motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?